So, today, January 6th, 2021, in these United States of America, the Capitol building has been breached. The president had called upon his supporters to show up today in D.C. He said it was going to be wild. He was right about that. There's so much information going around right now. I'm just going to give a quick 411 on what I know, what I have heard. Again, all of this is subject to change and verification. There's so much information going out right now. I've heard allegedly that there have been shots fired. I've heard allegedly the DC police force may have been utilizing deadly force among a number of the protesters. Apparently, a number of the barriers and barricades that have been set up to separate the crowds of folks gathered there from the Capitol and sectioning them off has been breached. I've seen video that alleges or apparently has been said to show the front doors of the Capitol that were locked, and then the glass gets smashed and you open up the door because that's how you break and enter. And to the point where the joint session of Congress that was counting the certified electoral ballots, Vice President Pence was presiding over it. Objections were being aired, debate was being had, and then a large number of the protesters entered the Capitol. You see pictures of this, you see video of this. You can feel free to look it up for yourselves. Allegedly, also to the point where tear gas may have been deployed in the rotunda as well. It has been said by certain folks, including Tim Pool as well, that the members of Congress, when they were going in, were literally given gas masks and stuff, just in case if this was the situation. Mike Pence, acting as president of the Senate, was ushered to a secure location, as well as Chuck Grassley, who is the president pro tempore. When Mike Pence is not presiding, they've both been put in secure locations. Apparently, a number of members of Congress basically were told that any of their residencies and stuff don't go back. Basically, shelter in a secure location. I've heard reports that apparently even some Chinook helicopters from Fort Bragg were being launched into the air. Happy 2021. This is where we're at. There are reports of fireworks going off. Having all this different information going out there. Yeah, this is where we're at. This is one of the reasons why you got to denounce violence wherever it is. I have a lot of friends that I know that when we saw violence a number of months ago, there were folks literally cheering, let it burn. And they seemed to revel in the destruction. I said, no, you got to call this out. Why do you call it out? Well, even just for selfish reasons, guess what? If violence is being perpetrated against people you don't like and you revel in it, what are you going to do? Complain when the violence comes to people you do like? This is why it needs to be called out, period. Can one single person call out everything? No. We're perfectly imperfect creatures. None of us is omniscient, omnipresent, or omnipotent. That's God. What can we do? Our own little part. I see you folks there, but I'm just gonna wrap this up. Just keep it short and sweet. The Capitol is under attack. The National Guard had been deployed. I heard reports that maybe they weren't going to have weapons or firearms on them. At that point, I'm like, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? I've heard reports that perhaps some of the protesters may have fired out shots. Have I heard people saying, "Oh, there are people in the crowds"? Yeah, I've heard that from, yes, both sides, people. And this is what happens when you get large crowds. And you know what? I bet there are a lot of folks there that are just there to support their president and peacefully protest. It doesn't take that many people to start chaos. There will always be assholes within every single group, every single community. This always happens. We got to call this out. Personally, I have faith in the United States military. The sheer fact that I even need to say that we would potentially deploy the military, even if it is the National Guard, in situations like this. What are we doing? We're going to fight our fellow Americans. Why? Because the president is S-posting on Twitter and everything? Responsibility comes from the top down. We need leadership now more than ever. And in place of that, I'll give more thorough updates tomorrow. And hopefully most all the dust is settled. We have confirmation on things. But if we don't get the leadership that we need, the leadership that was absolutely required right now, screw it. Let's legalize dueling. At this point, it really isn't even a troll anymore. If there are Americans that hate each other, and I have heard this from up, down, left, right, everywhere in between. If there are consenting adults full of hate that want to end each other, I say let's pass legislation. We have a history of this. We have precedent. If all we're doing is smearing each other, throwing all these slanderous things, people are being grossly offended. Let's call it exactly what it is. We used to call them fighting words. I say let's pass legislation. Let's let these consenting adults specify the place, time, and the process to go through it. And let the assholes take each other out. That's all I got for now. Peace out, everybody. Be safe. And may God watch over these United States of America.